You're tuned into Reading with Robin with a very special pre-publication celebration. So Who's Counting? The little quote book about growing older and still kicking ass. I love the title. It's a big title for a little book. Emily Luchetti is a James Beard Award-winning pastry chef and chief pastry officer of San Francisco's Big Night Restaurant Group. She has helped define what great pastry in America means, partly as a cookbook author and through her 3 decades in the business of desserts, both as a chef and teacher and mentor to chefs and restaurants. Erin McHugh is an award-winning author of more than 24 books of popular nonfiction, history, inspiration, humor, and children's books. She's a former publishing industry and advertising executive who started a second career as a bookseller and author in her mid-50s. So together you guys have a ton of experience. You're on opposite coasts, and here you've met just a few years ago, and you have this awesome book and a movement, and it's out just on April 9th, and so we're celebrating it early. And so who's counting? Welcome to Reading with Robin. I love everything about this project and this book, and I can't wait to meet you both in person, but I feel I feel like reading through all of the material and going through Facebook and finding you on Instagram and everywhere, really get a sense of your spirit, your energy, your playfulness, and sense of humor. And it all comes through in this little book that, this is the best gift book ever.
We love it. We hope so. We think so.
It's awesome. I mean, I know this is one of those gifts. This is what I will be giving. You can get it everywhere. It will be available and also on Amazon. Is that right?
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. Wherever books are sold, as we say.
Yeah. Wherever books are sold, I'll be buying them. So talk about how you got together and you connected and brought this project to life, because you were both in the middle of other projects.
Yeah,
right.
Well, it's very interesting because we have a lot of mutual friends, and we, when I come to Massachusetts, where I actually have a summer home right near where Erin lives, it's a small area, so it's really pretty interesting that we hadn't met. So a mutual friend of ours said, you guys really should meet because you just love writing, you love books so much. And we were both I was at a phase where I was thinking of writing about different things than cookbooks, and our mutual friend said, well, you really should meet Erin. She's been involved in books and written so many different kinds of books, so why don't you two get together? So we got together for breakfast one day and just started chatting about books and wordsmithing and all the all the geeky stuff that writers talk about. And then it was one of those things too where I had just turned 60, Erin had just turned 65, and we just started talking about being that age. And then Erin, you want to take it from here?
Well, it was funny because by now we were sort of working together and doing sort of writing exercises and trying to figure out. I was doing a book proposal that I was very stuck on, and Emily got me motivated and over a bad hump. And I started doing some, I did a favor for her, and we would sort of, I was a little bit of a sounding board for her to talk about new project ideas she had. And here was coming my birthday, so suddenly Emily offered to make me 6 birthday cakes.
I saw that. Of course,
I wanted to say yes right away, but
right.
My mother taught me you have to wait till somebody asks 3 times. I thought,
really? Is that a thing?
That's what she said. So
I never heard that.
She asked the 3rd time, and I said, yes, please. So now the whole, as Emmy said, it's a small town. Now suddenly my birthday party was the big ticket in town.
Awesome.
But it was like the Truman Capote ball, but with cake. It's like no one cared about coming to my party. People just wanted to come and have Emily's cake. So one way or the other, it turned into a success. But because of us both having these milestone years, we weren't upset about them, and we are both sort of the kind of full speed ahead people who wake up every morning and say, well, what's next? Let's do something new. Make sure you have fun today.
Right.
And we started talking about aging. Go ahead, Em.
Well, all the references to aging are, stupid self-deprecating jokes about saggy body parts, about, not being able to read a menu, forgetting things. And I'm like, we're at almost the prime of our lives where we've been through so many experiences and we've done so many things that now that we can take almost the wisdom of all our years, and we have usually a new freedom, from a lot of our responsibilities, and we can maybe focus, on ourselves more. And there's usually a shift in, maybe a getting out of one career and morphing into another. So I said, this is the time. This is the best time that we have. Why should we be giving any of it away and just mentally giving it away and not hitting it really hard and with full of joy and full of passion and full of intention?
I love that idea because, and you have a section about humor certainly has a huge place in everything, and I feel very strongly about not making it through much of a day without it. But the self-deprecating humor gets old. It's tiring. It's like, really, ha-ha. It's not even ha-ha. It's like, really? Is that the best you can do? Right. I mean, I see I don't know if you guys have plans for birthday cards and cards, because these are all... Do you? I hear giggling. Are there?
We got a lot in our back pocket.
I bet you do. I won't. I don't know. I'm just imagining things because I know, like those kinds of things. You read them and you go like womp womp. Like I'm not buying that. So when I connected, when I got your beautiful package and went through the book, and the quotes that resonate so strongly with me are like all of them. So we can go through a bunch of them.
Right.
But, that's how this is a real connection because just a few years behind you guys, but it's that same idea of I have 2 birthday groups, and we've been celebrating birthdays for over 30 years together. And, it's really special. And
it always, March birthdays and like that.
Everybody gets their own. So we celebrate. It's 2 different groups, so there's, 14 or 15 of us all together, and but 2 different groups, but we celebrate each birthday, but it always sort of begins with, this lament of, I'm like, we're lucky we're sitting here, and what are you trying, like, that's the joy of it, and as you say, there's so much wisdom, and time is looked at maybe differently, or things have opened up, or there's just so much to do, and so this idea of, I don't remember who, I think Erin, you said when you moved back to South Dartmouth, people in New York were like, "Are you retired?" It's that. Are you retiring, or what? Like, what does retirement even mean, or what even is that anymore? Yeah.
People here, the first place I noticed it was when I was, for a long time, I was when I started to be a writer, I took a job bookseller at Barnes & Noble because I wanted to continue in the publishing industry in doing something I hadn't done before. When I decided to start writing seriously, I took a job as a bookseller at Barnes & Noble after being in the publishing industry for, 25 or 30 years because I wanted to stay in the industry and do something related while I was writing and get medical, insurance and things like that.
Sure.
So off I went, and I can't tell you, I worked in New York on the Upper East Side, how many people over the years who come up to the desk and say, my friend Joey is turning 65, and he has everything, and I have to go to a dinner party tonight, so tell me where the section is on funny books about aging. There's no section. There's no section. And there's only about 2 books anyway, and they're all just like the ones Emmy described.
Right.
They are all so self-deprecating, and you know what they are? They're offensive.
Yeah, offensive.
And that's what got to us. And Emily started to say, as we talked about aging, about, there's got to be people aren't aging smartly. So, and, what is that about? And when I moved back home, people said, "Oh, you're here, you're back, you're retired." And every single time I make it a point. It's like a movement of one person, a point to say, "No, I've moved and I'm doing something else." And I have another part-time job as a book buyer somewhere, so books still. And I'm a writer, which hopefully I can do until I drop dead. And it's just, when we started writing this, we said, we have to consciously, Emily and I together, in conversation as we walk around the world, stop using the word senior and stop using the word retire, because they have a connection that's not upbeat.
I agree, and I think that any great movement, it starts somewhere, and a lot of reframing of word tracks, and that it starts somewhere. I know I was reading that in your notes, and I love that, because how do people react? Like I'm definitely on your team, because I like to sort of educate people through my day, and I use I call it my given name, the name I grew up with, my name. But, my married name I use socially, and I don't know, got married, that's the name you use. But when I started on radio, I went back to my name, and people would say maiden name, which drove me nuts. And I'm like, it's my given name.
Right.
People are like, I never heard it put that way. I'm like, well, this is how I decided to put it. I don't know who else does, but I correct people all the time. I mean, because or I'm maybe educating them, or I'm informing them, and then when people think about it, they go, oh yeah, you're right, that makes sense. I'm like, okay, you can use it.
That's exactly what happened with us when we, said to people, we're not going to use the word senior, we're not going to use the word retire, and we have to look at this whole thing of aging as what are the positive things about it. Some people were like, oh yeah, I get it, and then they would say, oh, I'm going to buy your book, but you'll have to read it to me because I can't see. So there's some people that just didn't get it.
Just listen to yourself. Listen.
But the other
people
thing
don't.
Is there were a lot of people that said, gosh, you're right. I never really thought about that. I'm gonna stop too. And granted, it's easier to say you're going to stop and think about stopping than actually do it, because it's sometimes you don't really. It's not like you're trying to beat yourself up about it.
People don't realize it.
Yeah, but society is constantly bombarding you with that. AARP in a way should probably change its name, because the majority
they should totally. You should work. Did they have a little goodie box coming? They should absolutely.
Not yet. Yeah, but they will. But not they will. But they definitely have it coming. So it's a lot of it is. It's like we have to take ownership, and we have to take and let this positive thing that we all kind of believe out, and not let people come to us and say, you're old. A 30-year-old can say, we say you're old, and we'll say, yeah, and you should be looking forward to when you're our age, because this is what's going to happen, and it's going to be so much better.
And I love listening to people who say this is the best time. I mean, the time that we're in, we're like sort of living in the moment. On paper should hopefully be the best time, and who knows what the time is. And I think the messaging seems to be more positive just in general out there, and being mindful and all of these things, while doing all the other million things we're supposed to be doing. However, this is part of that. I mean, I just love what you're putting out there, and I'm so busy chatting that I need to reset the table. I have Emily Luchetti and Erin McHugh, and we're talking about their brand new book, which will be out April 9th, and it's called So Who's Counting? The Little Quote Book About Growing Older and Still Kicking Ass. And the artwork is gorgeous, the font, the way you've put this book together. It's really a gorgeous little sweet book.
It's a beautiful package.
Yeah, Andrew McNeil did a super job on the look of it too, because we also wanted it cool as we are and hip as we are.
It is.
It had to be something that was just, you look at it and it, you're like, and it just draws you in.
It's a cool ass-kicking looking book, and there are so many quotes here. I can only imagine, so I will ask: where did you start? How did you break this down? And what were the workings of putting this together at a distance? And also, what didn't make the cut? And how did you? I mean, it's just perfect. I love it, but I can't imagine how much work this was.
Actually, the process took a lot of time, but it was really, really fun, and it kind of happened in layers where we just started searching for quotes, and whenever we were reading either magazines or books or on the internet, we would kind of take notes and just write stuff down, and then we started comparing. So Erin, you want to
Yeah, well, it was hilarious because we started saying, okay, well, let's have weekly phone calls. So Thursday afternoon, Emily would call from San Francisco, and I'd be in New York or Massachusetts or wherever I was, and we would have a list of, we wouldn't share until that morning, and then we'd compile a list of everything we'd come up with for the week. So it made it fun and a surprise. And we'd start fresh every week. And it was hilarious because we'd think, well, this will probably be over 40 minutes. But it was never that way. It was 2.5 hours every week because it was like, I love this one, Emily. You know why I love it? I love the word satisfy. So do I, Emily said. We didn't use satisfy in one last week, did we? It will be forever. And the same thing has happened since the book has been finished. We always have a few that we love, that we both love, like age doesn't matter unless you were a cheese. But they're also good that we change our mind, it seems, every day if you ask us about some of the others. So
about which is just favorite, right?
Yeah, we just kept going, and then we finally got together after a couple of months. Emily was here in town, and we cut everything up, and we started arranging them on. Well, first we did it from coast to coast on different tables. And you see that picture of us.
I love that. And people should go to
funny.
Yeah, your Facebook page is So Who's Counting. Is that the best place to send people? Yeah, I love the pictures.
And we sent it to our editor and said, just so you know, because at that point we were still doing the proposal, but they were so interested and we knew that it was going to fly. And he said, oh, phew, I've been wondering all this time how you were doing this coast to coast. So
yeah, and it was interesting because some of the quotes were easily fell into the piles, like humor and advice and that kind of thing. But the same thing happened in this book that happens when I have written my, recipe books, where there's always one really good quote or one really good recipe that doesn't fit into all the categories, but it has to be in the book. So then you rejigger all the categories just so you can create a category for this one. So it was really interesting that everything kind of went into its own slot. And then there were some quotes where two people said something and they were just a little bit the same. They were both really good, but they were just too much alike. And so we had to eliminate some just so not to have the duplication, because we really wanted the book to be full of quotes that were very different. So any kind of person, whatever your mood, whatever your personality, you could look at it and flip through and find something that you could relate to.
That's where the brilliance of the editing comes in, because I can imagine where it's like, no, we can't cut this one, or like you say, where something doesn't immediately fit, how to rejigger it because you just must have it. And I love Helen Mirren for a lot of reasons, but I love her quote about when you're 16, 30 seems ancient. And when you're 30, 45 seems ancient. And when you're 45, 60. And when you're 60, nothing seems ancient. I love that. And we talked a little bit about this off air, but how did you wind your way back to the original source of a quote when they're attributed, sometimes
that
wrong.
Was almost harder, but, we had to drop a few things. There's one very, very funny story that we can tell you. But, we would finally get back to the place where we would find the particular speech somebody made that in, or find it in an old book in the Library of Congress or something like that. So that task was arduous, but also fun because it was a different kind of research. And, of course, you fall down a little bit of a rabbit hole.
Oh, the rabbit hole.
Yeah, stuff like that. But at one point, Emily had found a quote that she really liked, and it was from...
It was a Condoleezza Rice quote.
Yes.
And the quote said, "I never want to be known as the former anything." And I just thought that was, kind of one of my mantra. And so we looked and we looked and we looked and we couldn't find it. And then I have a friend who has a connection with her through a speakers bureau. So we got hold of her assistant.
Well, hold up, because the best part was at the time when Emily couldn't find the quote, she was pissed. She really wanted to use that quote, and I did too. And she said, I'm going to write to her. And I said, yeah. What are you going to do? Write her a letter and says, Dear Madam Secretary, do you like cake? Is that the
that
way
sounds like a great opening to me.
Right? And so months and months went by. And suddenly one day, in the meantime, I don't know that Emily is now hunting down the assistant.
Sure.
I get an email from Emily, and here's how it starts out. I have some news from the doctor, and this is good. It's not at all what I expected, and I'm quite unhappy. I'm thinking, oh, my God, she's fatally ill. But actually, evidently, Madam Secretary calls herself Dr. Rice, and the news was that Dr. Rice didn't say that quote.
I thought you were going to tell me that the cake was on the way to her or something. Because if cake doesn't,
I'm sure.
Right, if cake doesn't get to somebody, I mean, who says no to cake?
I know.
And back to your mom, though, Erin, is that really a true thing that she said you have to ask 3 times?
Oh, yes.
And you know what? In this house, my husband taught me, when you make the sale, shut up.
Yeah.
I don't know who said that. My father-in-law used to say
that one's
it.
True. That one's a good one. I think that's
funny.
I don't know who it was.
I had a friend who sold timeshares who always said they don't leave till like close.
Exactly. That's right. Exactly. But that's what that's so funny. So yeah, any email that starts with doctor can definitely strike fear. And we talked earlier about Benjamin Franklin certainly saying, and Abraham. I mean, these guys were around first when people were writing stuff down, so it's not fair. They got to say everything. And we're talking about So Who's Counting, the little quote book about growing older and still kicking ass. And one of my favorite things about this book and this project with the two of you is that you were both in the middle or, embarking on other projects, but that you were open, that your friend said, you guys need to meet, and that you talked book lovers and, just big openness and took this project into its direction. I love that. I love the idea of seeing where something will go and being open to that.
And not only the project, but, you get, as life goes on, let's just say, you always sort of think everybody cool and great, and that's going to be your good friend forever, and that your wagons are circled,
Yeah.
And then you make a friend, you think, oh, look, something different and new, and I don't really know anybody like this. Come on in.
Yeah.
So, that's part and parcel of the whole project as well.
The friendship. Yeah, there's nothing like meeting like-minded people who.
That's right.
And then you meet at some point, that commonality, and then you bring all of your other gifts to that friendship. And and it's always amazing to be meeting people, and there's that. I've been introduced to people where like you are this person or this person. How do you two not know each other? Or you should know each other. Or it's always interesting what that other the person that is bringing you together, what they see and why they think that. So usually it's obvious, but maybe not always. Where you're like, well, I don't know what they were thinking.
Right. I know.
Right. Well, and I think often when people start to get older, regardless, and you get more into a routine, and it's not. Sometimes you don't have the opportunity because you live in a certain area to meet different people, but you get in routine, and you have the people that you really like, your family and your friends, and you get consumed, or you spend all your time with them, and you're not really looking outside to make those new connections. And I think new connections are so important because they do keep you thinking differently and in new ways.
Is that quote in here somewhere, Emily? I want to
No,
put that one in
we have to do a quote of our own.
That's Emily's. That's Emily's quote. But we did find a couple of quotes, didn't we, about people saying that you need to, as you grow older, especially, it's important to make friends who are both old and young.
You want to keep fresh. You want to have different experiences and come from different vantage points on things, I think. And there are so many things that we have in common, and age doesn't need to be one of them always.
That's right. That's well put.
Thank you, as I'm thinking about it. And you have Irma Bombeck, the amazing Irma Bombeck in here.
We love her.
Yeah. Are they all your favorites at different points? Because every time I read a different quote, I'm like, okay, that's my favorite.
So you're just like us. I know.
Right.
Yeah. And,
yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of it depends. That's the beauty, I think, of the book, too, because a lot of it just depends on what kind of mood you're in that day. If you're feeling great, if you're a little pessimistic, if you're feeling cranky or whatever, they're just different kinds of quotes for different kinds of moods, and and you just feel different regardless if what age you are. You're going to feel different all the time. So it's a little book where you can just flip through and kind of just get so much out of.
Something for everyone. Throw it in your bag. Leave one in the car. Put a copy at your nightstand. So you need more than one.
Buy 10 for your friends.
Exactly.
Yeah, as I said, it's
such
the
a
best,
friend.
hostess gift around. Better than a bottle of wine or flowers.
Or better yet, pair it with or bring a cake. I love.
Or pair it with a bottle of wine.
Patti Smith, though, I love. I want to be around a really long time. I want to be a thorn in the side of everything as long as possible. How awesome is that? And
I find that so satisfying. I love that. I would love to be that person. See, it's sort of sometimes the quotes remind you to be more like that person, which I love.
Yeah, it's just
that
a little.
Is not just a word of wisdom. I want to think, oh yeah, I want that also not to be just a word of wisdom, but my mantra.
Yeah, every day you can wake up with a new mantra, and then during the day you can change your mantra as you flip through the pages and find Erin and Emily on Instagram. Where do you most like to hang out as far as social media goes?
I would say both of us would be on Instagram more, wouldn't you, Emily?
Yes.
Yeah.
We have the So Who's Counting Facebook page, which, as you said before, Robin, where people can find, news about our upcoming events, and I think we'll have a few contests and some teasers and
that's fun.
Giveaways and
yeah. Well, I will direct people that way. I mean, you've been in the book world, around the book world, writing cookbooks, writing books, in so many, between the two of you. I mean, just so much experience, and now you're out there with this new book. A lot's changed in the industry.
I don't think they're planning on sending us on a 60 city tour like people got in the old days, but that's okay. Now we have social media, and we have people like you. We don't need that. We don't need that.
Right.
I said to Emily the other day, we keep saying to the publisher, well, could you do this for us? Could you make stickers for us? Would you make us business cards? I said, and suddenly everything was yes. And I said to Emily, somebody talked to somebody else over there and said, wow, just give them what they want. They're crazy.
I like that. We always say in the house here, let's just get to the point where everybody's going to agree on this because it's going to happen. So
right. We might as well do it. Might as well do it now. Yeah.
It's just such a time saver for everyone, really, if you sort of go at that. But I'm glad to hear everyone was so on board because it really, I mean, I've been around. I started the radio show almost 20 years ago, so I would count that time and just the changes, certainly the way things are marketed, the delivery system. But the words remain. The words remain, and that's
words remain.
Yeah.
And then didn't you just read the other day? Independent bookstores up 10% of Christmas.
Absolutely.
Choice.
And paper, and paper books, real books. Mm-hmm. So I really find that very heartening, and I'm very excited to share the quotes, the joy, and the fun in this, and the fun of getting, to meet new people and share experiences and share a great new book. And I love, and actually the way Erin and I met was through another book friend and via email and all of this. And I'm like, wait, how have we not met? And Emily,
exactly.
And Emily, how have I not had your cake?
I don't know.
This is crazy.
Yeah, it seems like we would have met, but now here we are.
Yeah, here we are meeting
in a couple of weeks.
I'm very excited. And you're both embarking on. Okay, wait, Emily, what's your next project? I was reading something very cool.
Oh gosh, I'm kind of doing a lot of different things. Currently, as you mentioned, I create all the dessert menus for a restaurant group in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. I'm also on the board of the James Beard Foundation. And my newest exciting project is for the last year or so I've made chocolate at home. I get the cacao beans and I roast them and I grind them and all that stuff. And there is a lot of bean to bar chocolate now that's very, very, out there and very, very very popular. And so I'm just kind of playing around with that and figuring out where I want to go with it. And I made chocolate for my nephew got married, and I put it in all the gift bags, and we had my other niece is a graphic designer, so we did special logos and everything for it. So it may change small, it may stay small, it may turn into a company, and I'm just kind of letting myself go with the flow of it and enjoying every second and trying not to eat too much of it. I think just not letting it, getting to the point where I make sure that I always enjoy every moment of it.
She always wants to try something new. She's always doing something new. There's always something on the horizon. I mean, who doesn't like to have an exciting friend like that?
Absolutely. It's, so those are the kinds of friends when they make once, you're like, I'm in. What is it? I'm doing it, right? I'm in. Right. I want to hear more about that. I think that is very cool. And, Erin, you're doing something without any electricity, water, air, chocolate. What else?
All of our friends.
She'll go with chocolate. She'll go with chocolate.
Evidently, or chocolate maybe. There is anybody who is from the New England area probably knows about these dune shacks in Provincetown. Those giant dunes that you see coming into town from Truro. On the other side of those dunes, if you've ever taken one of those jeep tours, are 19 little shacks that are made from flotsam mostly and are now National Park protected. And you can apply, and evidently, as I've done this, people have said, I've been trying to get one of those shacks for 20 years. You can apply for a week or 2 weeks and do a residency there. And I wanted to I've done a writing residency before, and it gives you, a special sense of self that even your beautiful room of one's own does not. And so I applied, and I thought, well, maybe if I apply not July and August, I will get a spot. Well, I got a spot all right, and it's in April.
Wow.
You think it's not going to be cold in this little shack on the beach in April? It will probably snow. So right after our book drops, I go out there. They take all your stuff, your water, and everything else. A ranger with a jeep, and he takes you out there over the dunes, a mile into who knows where, and they drop you off on Sunday afternoon. And they said, "We'll see you next Sunday." And your stuff out there. What you don't have in the shack is electricity, running water, there's
the internet,
stove. They finally have a composting toilet. That's new.
Oh wow! This is
there's no
so
lights
cool.
So the thing about it is completely out of my comfort zone. I'm not a hiker. I'm not a camper. I think God invented hotels so you didn't have to camp. And so that's sort of what I'm loving about this. I'm sort of loving that it's going to be cold, and I'll be maybe snowing. I'm going to, I'm working on a new book, so I'm going to work on that, evidently day and night.
Yeah.
And,
day until it gets dark.
It's just, I'm excited about it and nervous at the same time. Not nervous to the point of, lying awake at night, but it feels like a challenge, and I'm really, really excited about it.
I love that. I love it. Yeah. So will there be other people in the other 18 spaces?
I guess so, because it's really hard to get one of these weeks. So I'm guessing yes, and I think they might be. If I'm getting eaten by a bear, they might hear me if I scream.
Yeah. So what is the procedure for that?
No idea. There's no, there's no cell, reception or internet or anything like that. So we'll see. I guess I need a flare.
So, Emily, are you going with Erin to make sure she's okay, or she's going off on her own? No, heck, she's on her own. I'm going to send her chocolate and cookies.
Well, then you're halfway there, Erin.
That's what I figure, yeah.
Well, I'm going to see you before you go, right?
Yes.
All right, so maybe I'll talk you out of it. No, I'm only kidding. I think it's great, but, I'm not really a camper either. But, see, I think that doing things really outside of the comfort zone, I can only imagine what you'll leave with and what you'll bring there and what you'll...
We think reinventing is what it's all about, right?
Yeah, every morning. That's that's what it is. And I want to thank you. I'm not even paying attention to the time. I'm having such a great time with you guys.
Me too.
So who's counting?
Yeah, touche.
Such a great title.
Erin was a copy editor for, whenever you're in publishing, you're a copy editor, even if that's not your specific job title. So Erin was the one that came up with the amazing title.
I love it.
I was a creative director for a long time, so.
Wow. I just
headlines of my business.
Everything culminates. And I love when a lot of different pieces of our lives come together in new projects and new ways. And and you get that by living and having awesome things to talk about and share. And that's really what this book is about, one quote after the other. And I'll leave the Reading with Robin audience with Julia Childs. Find something you're passionate about and stay tremendously interested in it. This is just such a gift, and having Erin and Emily on the show today has been such a treat. And I'm looking forward to sharing this with the audience and joining in with, the reindeer games you have planned and the contest and the giveaways. And for some reason, I feel like having a piece of cake for dinner, and so I just might. So
who can blame you?
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for being on the show. Such a treat, and I look forward to more. Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.